Like, I think somebody asked that question, they might be thinking to themselves, oh wow, Headhunter, well, that was easy. What? What? Is that the only unique heavy belt in the game? I did say I dropped a Waystones coil earlier this league. Alright, we just got a Headhunter. Hey everybody, what's up? Snoo here. Welcome to another farming video. The big one. The first big one of Dawn of the Hunt 0.2 in the current Path of Exile patch. You know, it's an interesting thing, this current patch, because the state of the economy, many would say, is not very good. Definitely much worse than it was last time around when I did this farm. And so I'm going to be comparing what I get in terms of results with the last time around. That's going to be really interesting for me and hopefully for you too. But I got to say, I'm having a lot of fun. It's pretty obvious that I've had a great deal of success running a very fast build, implementing a little bit more magic find in now. I got 99% rarity instead of 59%. Got a little extra there. And dropped an incredibly valuable item recently, so I'm in very high spirits. I know a lot of you aren't. There's many people who are very lukewarm to the current state of the economy and loot and magic finding. Some people haven't even tried it. Some people have just written it off. And there are some of you who probably hate watching this video right now. And you know what? I just find that the most invigorating thing of all. So I've worked pretty hard on getting a bunch of Waystones crafted up. I got 90 of them here in a dump tab. I've got some Precursors, and so we're going to go over that. I'm going to show you the tower setup. We'll talk about, you know, the target of what we're target farming. We'll give you the investment. We'll look at a map, and we'll see the highlights. We'll see a little bit of gambling at the end. We'll slam a few items. Maybe you'll get another crazy rare that's slam worthy. And we'll track the results, final thoughts, conclusion, all of that. And it is definitely a perception versus reality, because I think things are going pretty well. I'm not dropping that much less loot. Here's my Exile's Pilfering ring. This is the loot I've dropped this season, although I actually forgot to put it on immediately. I've dropped a little more than that. We're sporting a 99% rarity. If we go down here, rarity on gear. What do I think is necessary here? I don't know. I mean, I never ran with less than 50, but I would suggest probably somewhere between 100 and 200 would be a good number. A lot of people say anything above 100 is wasted. I don't really think it's wasted per se, but if you have a really good character and you don't need the other stats somewhere else, definitely a balance to be struck there. But don't feel bad, you know, if you have only 50. And don't feel too bad if you got 250, you know, it's fine either way. Every single Waystone has been crafted by virtue of how I went over in the previous video. I brought out a video with a Waystone crafting guide deliberately to show you guys how I went about crafting it, and we determined that they were 17 exalts apiece on average. We'll be targeting divine orbs, the perfect jewelers, chaos exalts. We'll be targeting currencies. We'll be targeting uniques. Okay, uniques, either mid-tier ones that can be slammed into something good, a roll range beyond what it normally has, or, you know, potentially a tier 0 something like that. I did drop a Waystones coil at this league at one point. That was worth like 15 divines at the time, I think. So there's that. That could definitely happen. But we could also see some insane rares. Okay, the one thing that happens when you magic find is you get a whole bunch of like tier 3, 4, 5 rares that drop. And I did get, you know, a vile robe tier 5 that ended up being this item right here, which is still not sold. Dropping it down slowly, down 180 divines right now. It didn't drop this way. I slammed it once and whittled it again, and that was a highlight video as well. So looking forward to that. I know that will sell for a huge sum of currency regardless. Not expecting to see something that good again, but you never know. We'll see. Moving on to the setup. As part of the setup, we're going to be using this atlas. This is linked in the description, the Maxwell link. This is basically focused entirely on Waystone effect. Okay, everything I can do with Waystone effect, and I think pack size is actually pretty good value here. So I did take every single pack size one, increased number of rares, not focusing too much on magic monsters, but if I had an extra point, I'd probably put it right here. You do not want to double corrupt a map because it might remove all the prefixes and force it all into suffixes, so that's why we're not taking that. But taking every single increase effect of Waystone, you can. And these points are a little bit valuable, but if you're rolling maps well, like I am, the value is saturated out. It really doesn't mean a whole lot for just these small points right here. So I think this is the best tree. Oh yeah, everything with Precursor effect as well. I believe this is the best tree overall for magic finding if you are rolling your Waystones pretty well with, you know, at least one good quant or rarity roll on them. Breach, you don't necessarily need to take Zest Madness. This will get extra loot with catalyst. There's some speculation that this extra modifier will produce extra loot as well from breach monsters. That's not really known. If I didn't take that, I'd probably take Grasping Hands or maybe Sustained Siege. Expedition will be running when I can, and this is just to try to get as much loot as I can. Bosses don't really matter much. I think it's the only points that will affect anything. Delirium nowadays doesn't really do a whole lot in terms of the points here. However, Deliriousness is very important, and every single map that I run will have Deliriousness either through a mirror or Distilled Emotions. You get the up to 45% increased number of rares on the Waystone that way, and more importantly, something that people overlook, you spawn a whole bunch of extra monsters, many of which are rare in Delirium. Delirious specific monsters, and yes, they drop loot too. And so that's a whole bunch of extra stuff. Ritual will also be in play. I'm not going to focus a lot on it, but I will run it, and we'll see what I get from those. Yeah, not really going to talk about the Waystones much because, again, devoted an entire video to that. The Precursors will all be quantity, except a couple of rarity ones. I think it is important to have a little bit of rarity because some of your Waystones are going to be like this, where they have a quant rarity roll, and the rarity is very low. You don't want to put this into a map and spawn a map with like 150% increased quant and 50% increased rarity, because you're really sabotaging your loot that way. You need to have I think the best stat is to have the same amount of quant and rarity in the end. You can't control that so much because, you know, sometimes precursors are doubled effect, sometimes the prefixes are doubled, sometimes you have only rarities. You know, it depends. But I like having a little bit of rarity on the precursors here, and I have 2 that have some rarity. Every single other magic precursor has 6 or 7% quant, so these are definitely premium. And again, pretty much self-sustainable because you're just dropping so many, doing so many maps across, you know, 4 towers. We're going to be doing 4 towers and like 50 maps in 4 towers or something. So we're going to drop a crazy amount of precursors in general. We're going to use the Grand Project to leapfrog here, which you'll see in a second, and Visions of Paradise to be able to do the maps more than once. It's going to be really good. Now, as part of the setup, I can actually just go in here and show you what we're working with. Now, you know, it's interesting. I did 10 Citadel maps and realized after the fact that I obliterated an amazing tower setup that I could have used for magic finding. So word to the wise, make sure if you're, you know, Citadel farming, which is a great assistant farm to do because you'll kind of break into and explore a lot of tower setups while you're doing that. A great thing to do is combine Citadel farming with magic finding. You can just kind of do back and forth. But at any rate, we have this right here. Now, you'll notice there is a giant lake in the middle. That sucks, but pretty rare to get 4 towers this close to one another, especially with like 3 this close. I recommend just focusing on 3 towers for most people. If you have like no water involved, no mountains, and especially if you have like corrupted zones as well, it's really, really good. I was able to find 4 towers here. I don't necessarily know what's going on over here, but anyway, I moved up to this area and I moved over to this area, so these have already been ran and ready to be slammed. And so we're going to do this as part of the setup. I'm going to focus on, you know, just getting a little bit of ritual breach and it radiated on every single one, I think. And we're going to slam this one with that. And then over here, I'm going to do the leapfrog, okay? I'm going to do the leapfrog one, get a little bit of expedition breach. Okay, this is the only one that doesn't have it radiated. Actually, it does have it radiated right here on this. All maps in range can be accessed, and what this is going to do is it's going to allow me to jump straight to the other towers. And over here, I'm going to slam these right here, and this is going to allow me to do the maps twice. Anything that's irradiated, that's why irradiated is involved in every single tower slam, and then these I'll put up top here, and this is going to give me a really nice setup where every single map will have breach, will be irradiated, and most of them will have expedition and ritual around them, and they are going to have, you know, somewhere in the realm of like 30 to 70% quant. I think there are a total of 9 maps that are within the range of all 4 towers here. Not too terrible. Major bonus points if you can get a corrupted zone involved as well, because when you cleanse that, it gives you a whole bunch of extra monster spawns that drop exclusively currency. I don't exactly know the interaction there, magic finding, but I suppose that is a pure upside, at least for, you know, currency farming. The last thing to talk about is the investment cost. So I'm not actually going to pull down here to the desktop, but it's 8.1 divines for 50 maps. I'll adjust that depending on how many maps it takes to run. I'm focused more on clearing out this 4 tower setup than I am specifically running 50 maps. We'll play it by ear. I'll try to do it that way. Based on the last video's findings, it's costing me 17 exalts to craft per waystone, and then the one of those precursors actually is pretty expensive. It's about 200 exalts right now. And so the total there puts me at around 8.1 divines for the setup if I run 50 maps. And with that, we are getting started. So actually, the first thing I need to run is the towers. I just realized. Yeah. I gotta run the towers first. So for the towers, we're gonna do only 6 modded maps. I kind of have these set up so that these are all 6 modded. These are some of the best ones with quant. These are really good with rarity. And these have no deliriousness, and I'll run these on delirium mirror maps. Okay, so I'll run one of these 6 mod. Again, 3 slots available. Already has breach and some quant, so it's still nice to run, you know, something decent here. How much does this build cost? There's no price tag on this build. I don't even know. You can't just like buy the gear. Like if I had to recreate this build, it would just look different. It would have different gear. Like it would have resist in different places. It would have, like, okay, Headhunter is like what, 28 div. The chest is like 30 or 40 div, not counting the sockets. The actual build enabling pieces, the ring, boots, and shield, they're all really cheap. Like less than a div each. Like probably less than a div total. So everything else can be rare. I don't know, like part of me says, well, the build can be made on under 5 divine budget, but part of it's like, no, actually it's going to take 100 divines, because if you want to see the sort of power level that I'm doing here, you're going to have to pay that much. And you're going to have to know what to make, like what to look for. You're going to have to be good with trade, buying items pre-slammed and then slamming them. You know, the more I get asked that question, the more I think that question's not really applicable in this game. In this game, like, you don't copy builds one for one. Everybody's going to have a slightly different version of it. And because everybody's gonna have like different live searches and gonna find different pieces, gonna like get different slams. Like somebody might get crit on a piece, somebody might get attack speed, somebody might get a res and get something else somewhere else. Somebody might just be having less attack speed, a crit, and then like overcapped res, and therefore they can like socket more life in their gems. You know, it's like so many different like variations of the build. I myself have had multiple different variations of this build. And, you know, I've refined it over time. So like, I think somebody asked that question, they might be thinking to themselves, oh, wow, Headhunter. Well, that was easy. What? What? Is that the only unique heavy belt in the game? I did say I dropped a Rise Lathis coil earlier this league. Alright, we just got a Headhunter. Well then, I made some currency. 1 Headhunter, 0 divines. Yeah, I'm actually very unlucky to not see a divine yet. Extremely unlucky, because I mean, I've already, like, the last 12 divines I dropped were like once every 5 maps, and they were on Magic Find maps that were, if anything, worse than this one in terms of the quality of the map. So it's weird. Just unlucky. Thank you for triggering me to complain about the Divine Orb drop and therefore manifest it out of thin air off the boss. Low key though, I think especially if they buff bossing loot, I think bossing loot is already like pretty good. I haven't even really taken it serious, but I bet you like you could drop a bunch of freaking divines, just boss MFing. So look forward to that, especially if they buff boss loot and like not everything else. I'm just gonna start bossing Magic Finder. My character will be really good for it because I can rush the boss. You guys are making it sound like Lightning Spear has better clear. Than this build. Keep in mind, I'm playing on only a Fracturing Orb, only on Delirious maps. If I ran this build on a non-Delirious map, it would smoke anything Lightning Spear could do clear-wise. It already does. The only reason it doesn't is because I choose not to off-screen enemies because it's boring to me, and I'd rather get in their face. and do stuff here. Alright, here. I'll do you guys a favor. Let's see off-screening here. I can off-screen with this build if I want to. Nothing's stopping me. I'll off-screen everything on this map. Okay? You'll off-screen, there you go. We're off-screening now. Wow. Ooh. Ah. Ooh. Ah. It's almost like there's not a single monster on my screen. This has better off-screen than Lightning Spear. Because again, you don't even have to aim. With a Lightning Spear, you actually have to aim. You might miss. And then you gotta wait. And you gotta run like another 50 yards and wait. I don't know, it's just really boring. I'm sorry, it's just boring to do that. Sure, like if you're under-geared and you're gonna die if you don't play that way, fine, but... There are too many cool tools in the kit to just go off-screening everything. Does this really look like worse clear on a breach than Lightning Spear? I think you guys are out of your effing minds if you think this is worse than Lightning Spear. This is literally better than Lightning Spear. This is 100% better clear than Lightning Spear. Like, no questions whatsoever. You guys are bananas if you think this is clearing worse than Lightning Spears. What in the world? Y'all might need to get your eyes checked. Oh, wow. This map spawned with one random modifier and ended up being rarity. Did you guys see that? I put a map in that had a quant rarity roll, but it's showing up here. There's 180% rarity. That can't be right unless it... So I think one of my irradiated precursors map has one additional modifier. I forgot about that. I didn't realize... I knew that was good, but... I mean, it could be bad, actually. But that's crazy they gave me that. But yeah, irradiated precursor can have both quant and one additional random modifier on the map. Could be a precursor, could be a prefix or a suffix. So. I don't know if it actually reduces the amount of portals I get. Am I gonna play 3.16 when it drops in June? Bold statement. Using the word when. Another fracturing orb. That's too early to tell. I don't know. Silver charm. Huh? Apparently I'm not target farming currency at all. Apparently I'm just target farming extremely expensive uniques. It's the rarity roll, guys. It's the magical rarity roll. I don't drop that without randomly rolling rarity on the map. Holy. Bait farm. Dude, if I had dropped like 20 divines right now, people would find something negative to say about it. They'd just go to the next thing, like... They'd be like, yeah, but the combat sucks or something stupid. Wow, finally. A real one. Not off a boss. Or a ritual. Okay, maybe we can jumpstart the divine train now. I'm beginning to wonder. Whoa, that's tier 5 rare amulet. That's always exciting. I don't care who you are. Tier 5 amulet. Can't wait to ID that. Be like double T5 rarity. Spirit. All attribute, all res. Oh my god. Hen Reaver Catalyst. There we go. Finally dropped that. Jesus. That's like a 90x drop or something. Let's see. Let's see if I got the kick of movement. Oh man. Alright, Abyss, we're gonna run this. Cursed with temporal chains. Only a little bit. I was gonna say 1% temp chains. Breaks the game. Yes! Got him. What does it say? 0%. It rounded down to 0? What? Oh my god. Oh man, I moved pretty fast for having temp chains on me. Holy crap. That's crazy. Imagine if it like bugged the game and just force procced the silver charm constantly or something. On top of it. Dude, this is the fastest temp chains game where I still slowed down on that. To cast Stormlance. That's a divine, isn't it? Twilight Reliquary, it's not even as good. Ooh. Oof. Fake star. Could have never got around there in time without the temp chains. Immunity. Oh wow. Tier 5 Sorcerer's Tiara. That could be money. My Invoker would have loved seeing that drop. 500 ES helmet, anyone? Concentrate so hard not to die there. Yo. What is that start to a boot? What? What? Are there even 2 mods that are better than this? Can you even like hand select 2 mods that are better than this on Magic Boots to start? I don't even think you can. That's so rare. These were tier 2, by the way. Just tier 2. Oh man. That is, yeah, this is the highest tier Chaos Res roll. It goes up to 27. That's crazy. What would I essence for that? What do I essence? I can't essence speed, obviously. Like Delirium. Yeah, that'd be nice, but, you know, what about those poor souls that can't make much currency and they have to pick them up one at a time because they don't drop very many because they're not doing juiced maps? And people like me don't even pick them up anymore, and therefore that's what's keeping the market alive on them. I'm just looking out for the little guy, okay? What if I die? What do you mean, what if I die? Oh my god, I have no cooldown. I mean, it's Meyer, I don't really care. I definitely care about this map. Good quant precursor proc. Yo, less cooldown map honestly sucks for me. Oh, that would have killed me for sure if I tanked that. Oh my god, that too. Wait, what did I just drop? Spiritborn Crown. Still not respecting it, apparently. Oh, fuck. Omen of Sinestral Annulment? I'm so glad I checked that on my last portal. That's my first time seeing one of those. Need a moment. What did this person say? Hey, Infel. Quote, this game you don't get dopamine loot. What is this? What is this? What is this? What do you think this is? You think it's nothing? The drops, man. Definitely some dopamine going on here. I'm gonna tell you a secret. You play the game, you get drops. It has never not been the case. You play the game, you play it at a high level especially, magnifying, you get drops. You get jackpot drops. Literally every single iteration of the game, on the driest of dry, loot barren leagues, you still get drops. Yeah, I have over 1,000 hours in PoE2 Season 1 and 2, and I haven't got a Headhunter. What's the best drop you've gotten in your entire season? I bet you got something. You got lucky, Grath? Man, I get lucky every single season. I've dropped a mirror every single season in PoE 1 since, like, Crucible or Total League. I'm just lucky every time. I guess. Must be because loot was crazy every league now. Loot was really scarce in Tota. Dropping a raw mirror in Tota, I'll play the game the way I want. What happens, happens. I put my reputation on the line doing these... How many times have I put my reputation on the line by doing these maps, introing it, talking about how it's a good farm, and then if I don't drop shit, I look like an idiot. And every single time, I make good currency. Or at least decent currency. I think like one time, maybe one time ever have I done this sort of thing and actually was like, wow, dude. That was actually really bad. I don't recommend this farm. It was that bad. It's happened like one time ever in like 100 of these, you know, 100 map sessions or whatever it is I'm doing. Now the truth is, the reason why it never happens is because I test it extensively before actually doing the full gambit. To actually test it before testing it, and make sure that it's a real strat and that, you know, there's loot to be had, and unless I get extraordinarily unlucky, it's going to look like a good strat. Wow. I got another divine. What do you know? But not a real jackpot, right? I mean, that's nothing. That doesn't count. Really? Out of mana the whole time. Oops. Oh wow, another divine orb. Well, you just do enough maps and the tides would turn eventually. Told you guys I was supposed to have like 9 divine orbs earlier. Now we've almost, not completely caught up, but definitely getting there. We got a good hidden grotto here. At least 2 breaches and the precursor proc. Divine from the hand. Right? That's happened to me numerous times, by the way. Not even close to the first time. Oh yeah, I should probably mention one other major thing. You know, just for a little bit of closure on that topic about this build versus that build being good, and we were comparing, like, you all are watching this, seeing the clear on this, and trying to compare it to Deadeye. One thing we forgot to mention is the fact that I'm running the Soul Eater mod on rares, which yeah, that affects the clear a little bit. The one-shot ability on rares. And I don't think most people on playing Lightning Arrow doing that. Is there anybody doing that? I'm not the only one, right? Dude, 52% claw? I might have procced the Precursor on that, because this number started at like 13% and like 15%. Oh my god, I finally got one. Ah. That's so ridiculously overdue for that. It happened. On a map that started with 13% quant on it. Lol. Epic. Just run 13% quant maps and you too, like me, can drop a perfect jeweler. Whoa. And a greater jeweler. One breach to rule them all. Savannah, so it could. Oh shit, this is a zero recovery map. Fuck. I need to hit a checkpoint. No! Yeah, checkpoint! Oh my god. Oh! Yoink. Look at this speed demon. Professional breach farmer. You lightning spears are in shambles right now after seeing that. I know you are. I mean, no way you can deny that. Execution right there. Too much of a good thing. I did that with my hand tied behind my back too. 110, 103% less life recovery. I had to get free. I got hit. I've apparently only got hit once this map. It doesn't really make sense that I haven't died yet. Lol. Not a rare. I don't think. Right on, guys. We're here with the final results. Right before we do it, I gotta liquidate some things. I'm gonna go ahead and liquidate them with Alva, the things that I can, but I decided, you know, just for you guys, make it real nice and pretty. It takes a while. I got it really nice and pretty with, you know, different rows of things that were dropped. So you can kind of just eyeball it and see what you can see here. There are a few really big ticket items like Omen of Sinestral Annulment. Got one of those. We got a Headhunter. We got Fall of the Axe. Okay, we got a total of 12 divines, only one perfect jeweler, a couple of twilight keys, a bunch of logbooks, and a bunch of other random stuff too. A lot of these splinters, catalysts. Also, we did get a little lucky on one of those special Ventor boxes. I think I found 3 of them, and in grand total I got 2 level 20 gems. So I obviously can't liquidate these at the currency exchange, but I can still, you know, count them. So for what I can liquidate at the currency exchange, I'm going to go ahead and do it, and then we're going to take a look at the ultimate final results. One real quick bit of info that should be interesting to you guys. I have 778 exalts, and I dropped 12 divines. According to the ratios, if you see, and you can do the calculation in real time right now if you'd like, I should have dropped, let me actually verify what the number is, 13 divines right on the spot. And as far as chaos orbs, I dropped 147, and that reflecting the ratio here in the total amount of, you know, currency I've dropped meant I should have dropped about 14.7 chaos. And indeed, it looks like those ratios were shifting a bit. Given that I just did 100 maps of magic finding, they started to kind of expand outward. In other words, shifting in the favor of even more divines dropping, which make me believe that I probably should have dropped somewhere around 16 divine orbs in this farm. I actually only dropped 11 plus one. One was from a ritual, so I only dropped 11 divine orbs in total. So a bit let down there. Definitely unlucky for sure, at least a little bit. But we more than made up for it with a couple of these big ticket items. Now let me go ahead and do some liquidating, and then we'll figure out the numbers, and then we'll do. We got a lot of things to slam. All right, guys, we got a lot of stuff to do here. All right, friends, here we go. Got everything liquidated. You can see it cleaned up there in the dump tab. As you can see, we're going to do a fun little gambling session. A lot of things to exalt slam. I want to tell you up front that the results that I'm posting here, the numbers, are not going to include a single rare item, either pre or post slammed. It's also not going to include any of the unique items like Tangle Tongue and other potential things. Well, okay, I take it back. Actually, it will include base value Tangle Tongues, which is like 10 or 12x a piece. It will include Headhunter and the Hand of the Axe, I think it's called. Fall of the Axe, sorry. But we will kind of discuss how much currency I made without those jackpot drops, of course. I had to manually add in the level 20 gems, the stellar amulet bases, for which you can sell them for 15x a piece on TFT. The Twilight keys, because we're going to gamble those. And the logbooks, about 10 C a piece. The total amount of currency gained from these items here was 45.4. That does include a Headhunter and the Charm. Total amount of currency after liquidating everything else I could liquidate was 43.6 div. The total amount gross being 89. Remember, it was 17x a piece for Waystones, based on the previous video's information, how much it cost to craft the Waystones using omens. I ended up doubling the investment cost because I was initially going to do 50 maps, ended up doing 100, 16.2 divines invested in total, net profit 72.8 divines. Again, counting Headhunter and the Charm. Div per map, roughly 0.73. Div per hour, roughly 6.3. Took me about 11.5 hours to do this farm. I think I can do it faster if I focus more. I was really engage with chat on this time on Twitch, but that's okay. I don't regret it. It's a little hard to track timing when you're talking to chat so much, like in between each map. But yeah, I could probably be something like 10 to 12 hours normally to do this kind of farm. Sometimes the map spawns with a bunch of breaches. I did have one map that spawned 100, or not 100, sorry, what is it? 10? Yeah, 10 plus whatever, like 11 breaches. And that one obviously takes a while, but a lot of maps just spawn with one breach and they can be done in like 5 minutes flat. Anyway, roughly about 7 minutes per map on average. Looks like what I did here. Not counting Headhunter or Fall of the Axe, put me somewhere around 4.2, 4.3 div per hour. And yeah, just to remind you, not counting a whole slew of uniques, not counting any of the successful gambling results we may see. Very unlikely to like lose currency based on what I'm doing here. I am going to technically corrupt this Fall of the Axe, so it's pretty like there's almost nothing to lose to do that. You just yeah, but anyway, let's get forward with the gambling session, then we'll see if I come out ahead in any way. But yeah, there's the results. So this oh yeah, one other thing, this looks like it performed about half as well as it did last time in 0.1. I got, if I recall correctly, yeah, I looked up the video, it was around 12 divines per hour when I did it last time, and I earned about half of that this time, with maybe a little less, not counting some of the jackpot drops, although, you know, did 100 maps. Not that surprising, the jackpot drop. And it looks like I dropped roughly a third of the raw currency this time that I did last time. And so that kind of checks out, you know. I got roughly half, a third to half in total currency, or in total currency made, while dropping roughly a third of the total amount of currency that I saw last time. So hopefully that's very insightful for you in your anticipation for what would happen if you decided to match your find and you haven't done it yet. Okay, we got some sockets where they need to be. And we are going to omen these here. So let's start with a couple of big ones. See what we get. Ooh, hey, that's pretty good. 18.4 with 2. Oh, we're winning there. 15.85 with 2. 16.83 with 2. And finally hit a... wait, did I just hit... Oh, a random 8% attack speed? Yeah, this is going to be junk right here. This one looks to be pretty good. I'm actually curious what that's worth. Tangle Tongue with 18.4 or 18 point... Yeah, it looks like this is worth a full divine now. So it came out a little ahead on Tangle Tongue. This one might be worth a little bit, as well as this one here. I doubt this is anything. Hit Siri. Just kind of hoping for a roll range randomly. No, didn't do any good there. Ooh, okay. I got, I'm actually going to pull these here in case something fun happens. 262 on a Widow Hail. And, wow, I actually did hit something cool here. Alright, so we hit an extra flat damage roll on a perfect Widow Hail already. That could be a little extra valuable. It looks like perfect Widow Hail uncorrupted was okay. I would have rather had 3 sockets, but, I mean... could be a little bit. Not sure if it's that special or not. Okay, one other major item here. We're going for quality. This does actually go up quite a bit if you hit a big quality number. It is not guaranteed. That did improve the value of it. There are breakpoints of 3, so this is the same value as 6% quality. But this definitely did increase the value of this from about 16 div to 20, maybe 22. So actually kind of a big hit on Folly Charm. By the way, you don't guarantee to get quality on this. It will re-roll the roll range of something that doesn't exist a lot of times. So even with the Omen of Corruption, you're still pretty lucky, fairly lucky, to get a quality roll at all. And it's usually not as high as 8%. That's kind of a high roll. I think I've seen it go up to like 14% or something. Not sure. I'm not going to be doing anything with Headhunter. Would need to be divined anyway. I'm just going to scroll over these so you can see. There are a few in here that are like mana on kill and like chaos res and stuff. It's kind of wild. Might honestly get a decent chunk of currency from some of these. I'm sure that I'll make at least like 3 divines or something from the total of this, but again, I didn't count it as worth anything. I'll be doing a lot of exalt slamming, but first I got a very curious one here. I know you guys are going to drill over this. Imagine actually having this on your loot filter and finding it. I think this was a tier 2 magic drop when it dropped. I do have dragon scale boots. They are the best evasion base. And somehow dropped perfect chaos res and movement speed. 1% from perfect magic. I'm thinking there's really nothing super smart to use here as far as essences. We have the opportunity to use an essence. We don't have to just regal. But this will guarantee a fire res roll into it. We could use life, but I mean, it's not necessarily going to be good. So we're really hoping for a high tier fire res roll. Let's see. We got 31. Alright, 31's not terrible. Could be a lot worse. And now we will just slam it away. With 21 cold. No, 19 life. Percent evasion. Really awful prefixes, but you know, people generally only care that much about the res and the movement speed on these. I'd say this came out better than expected. To actually get the triple res is a pretty big deal. Turns out these might be worth somewhere around 10 div right now. There's not that much competition, that much to know. I mean, there are a few on trade, but yeah, I would guess I'd probably sell it for at least 5 to 10 div. If anybody's in the running for a nice Chaos Res roll in their boots. Anyway. Your Twister build is pretty freaking dope, says Gallic Atomic Buster. Well, thank you, dude. Appreciate it. I agree. Pretty freaking dope. Couldn't have said it more aptly myself. And on that note, we'll close out the video with some final thoughts. I am for sure going to reprioritize Citadel farming. And the reason why I'm going to do that is because if I just try to magic find, well, I'm gonna end up running a lot of dead maps for basically nothing other than like tower hunting. Might as well hunt citadels while I'm at it and pursue them, and then pay extra close attention to the tower setups as I explore new areas doing citadels, because that strategy evidently earned like 4 to 5 div per hour, and this one earns evidently only a little bit more, perhaps moderately more, if we can reduce the cost and or time to set up everything by virtue of just exploring the atlas for citadel farming. So I really like the idea now of pairing citadel farming and tower hunting into magic finding when you find those good towers with the extra supply of Waystones and Precursors that would naturally come from dual farming. I think that's definitely going to be a good idea. It's for sure a nice pairing of currency earning, and then not take a nice break. Sometimes you just blasting maps, get those citadels. Sometimes you're yeah, I guess it's blasting maps, and sometimes you're juicing the maps a little bit more. So it can be a little disappointing in dropping approximately a third of the loot as normal. But again, keep in mind, everything is relative, and this is why I don't fret too much about it. Dropping less loot isn't that big of a deal to me when everything costs less. And lo and behold, it looks like things cost like... Some things cost like 10% of what they did last season. Some things still cost about the same. A lot of things cost about half. So everything overall costs less. So we're gonna just kind of see what happens with this week. Evidently a new patch should be coming out literally like any time. In fact, it might even drop before the video does. Hopefully not. But well, I mean, kind of hopefully not. I guess hopefully not for the timing's sake, but hopefully, to see if we get an update in loot and if things turn around for it. I know it's something a lot of you would look forward to. But anyway, this perception versus reality is done. The perception less loot is dropping is indeed true. It's just, not maybe quite as bad as some of you thought it was. Making about half as much currency as it was. And everything just kind of reshaping the economy. So that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you got some value out of this, and I hope you do give magic finding a try. Pair it up with citadel farming. I don't think you can go wrong. And for that, let me know how it goes for you in the comment section of the video. Take a look at all the different resources in the description. There's a whole bunch of stuff there, including filter, POB, macro link, guide. I will be coming out with a super endgame version at some point. And one last thing, here in the middle of this, I dropped Combat Frenzy for Wind Dancer. Actually improved my survivability a lot. I'm going to try to get Combat Frenzy back in by dropping Storm Lance and getting Against the Darkness in the build. Make up for the Spirit. I think that's my next move on the build. Alright, I'm out. I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for watching.